Welcome to the True Elegance Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bunmi Akinkugbe, also known as Dr. B. Through solo episodes and guest sessions, we delve into the timeless qualities of style, grace, and sophistication, and uncover what makes you truly elegant. So, sit back, relax, and let's get started on this empowering journey of becoming truly elegant. Hello, Elegant Tribe, and welcome to another episode of the True Elegance Podcast. We look at the whole person that we are, our values, our character, and the things that make us beautiful from the inside out. On this week's episode, I have an amazing guest, Sharni Quinn, who is an international best-selling author for the collaboration book, Ignite Your Purpose. She is a wellness industry expert, a certified life transformation coach, international yoga teacher, speaker, retreat facilitator with 16 plus years of experience in the wellness industry and her own personal journey of healing from burnout. She inspires stressed out, overwhelmed, and lost superwomen, like many of us are, to unplug from the daily hustle and reconnect with themselves, realign with their purpose, and redesign their life for the better. Welcome, Sharni, on the show today.
Thank you so much, Dr. B. It's so wonderful to be here and to join you and to connect with your listeners.
Beautiful. So, as I was going through your bio, many things just resonates on so many levels. And the first thing I'm going to pick on is this superpower, superwomen, Wonder Women that we sometimes claim to be. Who exactly is a superwoman in your own words and in your experience with this journey?
Sure. Well, I feel like there's so many superwomen out there in the world, and it's almost like we're juggling so many balls at the same time. And it's every woman that is trying to be perfect at everything, be the perfect housewife, the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect boss, the perfect entrepreneur, the perfect leader, the perfect friend, the perfect looking after themselves. And it's so much. And what I found is that one of the things that one of my mentors and healers told me is life's not about being perfect, it's about being real.
Wow.
And so for me, it really was this whole journey of trying to do everything, be everything, succeed, be successful, just achieve. And this is the real society that we're living in nowadays. It's all about achieving and striving and doing and having more, and eventually my journey led me to burnout. And so I'm really passionate about supporting other women so that they don't go through that process themselves as well.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And I'm picking on the very first amazing statement you made right there, that life is not about being perfect, but it's about being real, because perfection differs for each and every one of us. And the more we try to chase perfection, we see that the further away it is even to get there. And it's like a non-ending journey being on that wheel of trying to be the perfect superwoman that we try to be. And I would love to hear about your journey, because you seem to have experienced something at some point that made you come to this realization. So if you don't mind sharing that with us.
Oh, I'd love to. And I feel like it's not just my journey. There's so many women who have been through this, not really exactly as I did, but so many women are reaching this point where they're exhausted and they're overworked and they're just overwhelmed and stressed out. And I've actually written, now that we're talking about it, written an ebook called Superwoman Unplugged, which is like the 5 simple steps on how to redesign your life, by doing less.
Okay.
So that's a free ebook, and I'd love to share that with your audience and the listeners as well, because I explain a lot more in there around the concept of letting go of being superwoman and what that means, and how women today, we've all had to really, really step up, and we wanted this. We wanted equality. We wanted to really show up in the world, and the whole history of women, you can understand where we are right now in the world. And so for me, my journey was very much going through a big divorce, And that broke me because my ex-husband was diagnosed with bipolar. So that was 2 years after we were married. And so it was very much I was learning, and I can only really reflect on it now, but I was realized that I was really enabling this whole situation because I was trying to fix and save him and wasn't allowing him to really take responsibility for his life.
Wow.
And so in that whole process, I lost myself completely
Mm.
and I burnt out, and yeah, I had to go onto antidepressants, and I've never been somebody who's really been depressed, but had to go onto medication and this whole healing journey. And so that was my first episode of, let's say, of burnout. And my healing journey then started when I took myself on my own Eat, Pray, Love journey. It was 2010, and I went to India and to go and heal, and went to Bali and went to Australia. So I did a whole 9 months journey. And then I came back and I was like, okay, I've healed, I'm all good, let me get back into my business and really, like I'm all fine now, totally fine. Like life is just going to all of a sudden be simple and easy. And I came back and all my friends were having children. They were all married at this stage, all living in these beautiful big houses. I came back with nothing and I had no money. And I was a yoga teacher at that time, but I had left my business, left my clients, and was starting all over again. And I remember my father saying to me, why don't you go back into advertising? Because that's what I was doing before. And it would have been so easy. I could have just slipped back into advertising and marketing. And something inside me said, no, like there's this yoga journey. I know that this is part of my purpose. This is what I'm meant to be doing. Okay. And so I built up my business, which I think over about 5-6 years was running my own wellness business and teaching a whole lot of yoga classes, and then realizing, oh, I can't do this all on my own. I need to expand, and then employing people. And I had about 10 yoga angels and 20 life coaching angels. And we were creating workshops all over the country and facilitating, in Johannesburg and Cape Town and all over South Africa. And it was amazing. And I loved what I did. And then I decided, oh, wait, no, let's start up another business. So then I started up Cape Town Yoga Experiences, and we had exclusive rights to do yoga and these amazing morning meditations on top of Table Mountain. So I don't know if you know much about Cape Town or South Africa, but Table Mountain is this beautiful, it's just a beautiful experience to be. And we were the only ones on that mountain. And so, and I was actually just too burnt out to even launch this business properly. And it was so soul destroying because in the end, that was then my second major burnout. And it was like people laugh at me and say, well, but you were in the wellness industry. How could you burn out? And I said, oh, no, I was literally like the burnt out yogi, which is hilarious. But what I realized is even if we're doing what we love and we're working on our purpose, and we can still burn out because I was still doing too much and I was still giving to everybody else and not looking after myself. And so I still had these limiting beliefs that were driving me. And the whole idea of success for me at that stage was very different to what it is now. And so I'm very grateful for that journey and that burnout experience, because I'm just live a very, very different life to what I was doing then. And that was about 2018. Okay. And so now I'm so passionate about supporting other women, and especially women that are wanting to start up their own business or are entrepreneurs, and how they can really look after themselves without giving everything away, all the energy and depleting themselves completely. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a real passion of mine because it was my own personal experience as well.
Right. Wow. That's amazing. So I'm going to pick on something you said again. You were actually doing what you loved, like wellness, yoga, taking people on this amazing experience. Like, where else would you want to be than on a mountaintop having like the best time of your life? But it still led to burnout. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Sometimes, we hear about finding your passion, doing what you love, pouring your whole self into it, but it looks like there's some boundaries that we still have to put in place to ensure that we don't tip over into the burnout zone.
Definitely. And it's so ironic because, as you say, we always hear live your purpose and you won't have to work a day in your life and all these bumper sticker sayings.
Yeah.
And it's so true though, because when we are on purpose, we do feel so aligned and we feel so invigorated and energized and alive. And we want to wake up in the morning and just do what we love. And I was in that space. Like I really loved my work. I loved my clients. I loved supporting them. And at that stage, I was running, while I was teaching yoga classes. I was also a life coach at that stage. I was running retreats to Bali as well. So I was taking a whole lot of ladies over there, and well, actually all over the world. We did some in Sri Lanka and in Cape Town as well. And so I just had the most incredible job. But what I was also doing was managing the team, and that's not my forte.
Okay.
And what I realized is that I was doing everything in the business and I wasn't delegating to, well, I was really, but I've learned so much about myself. Yeah. And I think what it is that we need to really know who we are as individuals and what our strengths are, and really being able to work to those strengths, and then being able to, especially as a business owner, let go of the other stuff and be able to share that load. And with me doing everything on my own, like on retreats, I was literally facilitating, teaching the yoga, doing the coaching, taking the photos, organizing the behind the scenes, all of it. Wow. And I look back now and I think I was just a little bit crazy. So it is in my DNA to just be like, I'm capable and I can do this, and not really allow other people to support me. Yeah. But I have learned that in the process.
Okay.
And I think, so the one thing is really learning ourselves and what our strengths and where we can actually allow other people to help and support us along the way. And then the other one is just to also realize that we are actually women. And I remember one of my healers, and I love that, women we're doing so much and we're achieving so much in our lives nowadays, but we are different. And I always say, men and women, I see them not as equal actually, but as complementary. And as women, we have different, just because of our cycle, really, we have different emotions, we've got different hormones. And I really believe that the more we can be in our feminine energy, the more we're stepping into our power. And that's actually our superpower. And whereas if we're in this masculine energy of doing all the time and striving and achieving and not resting and giving ourselves that time to really recover and look after ourselves and that self-care, then we tend to be too much in this masculine energy, and that's when we burnt out. And that's what happened to me. So it's that balance. It's like, how do we get back into our feminine and then use that as our superpower? And how do we let other people support us in the way?
Yeah. Wow, those are beautiful. Finding our strengths. Recently, I think I was listening to a podcast or reading a book, and many of us are always on this quest to find what our purpose is, and it's this magical thing that you have to be doing every day, every single minute of the day. And someone redefined it as asking yourself what you need in this stage of your life to be your best self, whether it's for yourself, for a significant other, for a family, for your work. Sometimes it won't be just one thing every day at every minute of life, but understanding those phases and those cycles and being our best at every stage is all part of our purpose journey. And I love what you said about learning ourselves, discovering what we're good at. Some call it our zone of genius, which is where we operate the best. Sometimes we're able to do many things. For example, during your retreats, maybe you're good at taking pictures, you're good at facilitating, you're good at maybe cooking, who knows, but you really can't do everything by yourself every time, because that's what leads to burnout. But focusing on your strengths, doing that best, and being vulnerable enough to ask for help and accept the help around you to make you a better version of yourself is always beautiful. Yeah,
that's so true.
And I know you talked about masculine and feminine energy, so I'm familiar with that, but I want you to break that down a little bit more for those who might not be familiar with that. Like, what is masculine and feminine energy, and how do women balance that?
So masculine and feminine energy is actually within every single one of us as humans. So it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, we all have this masculine and feminine energy within us. And almost like the goal is to be able to balance that. So 50% masculine, 50% feminine within our own bodies. And then when we're actually in a relationship, what I've learned just through my own experience and also through my teachings and the studying that I've done is that in a relationship, let's say a normal heterosexual relationship with a man and woman, then women, it's really important for us to be about 60% in our feminine, 60 to 70% in our feminine, and men to be 60, 70% in their masculine. And what I find is that so often, us capable, independent women are going, oh, I don't need a man, and I can do this on my own, and I can carry my own bags, even when they're trying to offer. And, there's a whole beautiful essence of men being gentlemen is kind of disappearing nowadays because the women are like really being this like very masculine energy. And so what I love is being able to really bring more of that feminine energy into us because we are, that's our essence essentially. And so how do we come back to balance? And that actually comes back to the whole Chinese philosophy of yin and yang. And so yin is the feminine energy, yang is the masculine energy. And in nature, when yin and yang are in balance, then that's when there's harmony. So for us, it's about how can we create more of that harmony in our lives for ourselves. And so instead of this being too much in our masculine as women, how can we then almost bring more of that yin energy and bring more in that yin space? And a lot of it comes down to self-care and being able to really be gentle on ourselves and slowing down and living a more simple life. And just really focusing on that I have just found that's been the biggest game changer for me. And a lot of what I talk about in my online programs and my coaching is I actually take people through this whole process of the 5-step path of living yinly, and how to bring more into our yang so we can stress less and live more and live our best lives. And so it is this balance, but it's not to say that we all need to only be yin and only be feminine, because then nothing would ever get done. We'll just be floating around. So it is this balance. And I find that's the challenge in life. It's like, how do we get back into balance again?
Yes. Wow, that's beautiful. And a very timely reminder. Because many times, sometimes we just want to get things done, we're the independent, strong women, but taking care of ourselves and learning to relax and enjoy the little pleasures and benefits that are being provided to us is very much needed as well. Yeah.
Very
Thanks for
important.
sharing that. So I know you're a proponent for redesigning your life by doing less. So what are some tips you have around that, and what has worked for you so far?
Well, I'd say the two main things, if the listeners if you guys are going to take anything out of this, or you ladies, not guys, if you're going to take anything out of this, it really is two main things: is to slow down and to simplify our lives.
Wow.
And I really learned this by living in Bali for the last 5 years. So when I went through my second burnout experience, I decided, I was in Bali running a retreat and decided I'm going to just stay, and I'm not going to go back to Cape Town where my home was at the time. And I'm going to just focus on my own recovery. So I put myself on my own 3-month burnout recovery program, and totally changed my life. And I actually went off social media for a year. I had an out of office on my email for 9 months. I sold my business, and I was just like, I just totally disconnected. But I'd gotten to such a low point that I needed to do that in order to come back to balance. And that's like, not everyone can take that time off. So I'm always encouraging people, before you get to that stage where I got to, make these changes in our lives. And so the living in Bali and living on this island, it was so different to what I'd experienced before. And because of the Balinese people as well, they're the most gentle people, and they live like spirituality is so important for them. It's not about having big houses and cars, and they live very, very simple, easy lives. And so I learned so much from them and from their culture. And if we can, and now I'm really passionate about, okay, how can I bring this back into the West? How can I inspire everybody else? And this is why I love being on podcasts, and always so grateful to be on shows like yours. Dr. B. So it really is, I think the first thing is like, how can we slow down more? What can we eliminate out of our diary so that we can create a little bit more space in our day? And not everybody can have a whole day off or, go off onto an island. But how can you create that space? And so often we feel like that space isn't there and that life is just so busy, and we have this mindset. Whereas when I have when I work with my clients, my online coaching clients, they often say, okay, when they start off, they're like, I don't have time to meditate. And I said, okay, well, how often are you spending on your phone, like scrolling on social media? And I see them liking all my posts and commenting, and I'm like, there's a lot of time spent on the phone. And so if we could just cut down on that, even by 10 minutes, and bring in more modalities and more tools that allow us to slow down, like meditation and yoga and breath work, and you can do a simple routine in the morning that can just really get you started in such a beautiful way.
Yes.
And I always remember hearing this amazing quote that says, if you should meditate for half an hour every day, unless you are really busy, and then a full hour is needed.
So that's kind of your punishment for being so busy.
But what's amazing, because my meditation is non-negotiable. Like every morning I have my 20-minute meditation. And for me, it's if I realize if I don't do that, we get so caught up in our heads and our minds and the busyness. And as soon as we just take some time out to relax and breathe and focus on going inward, then all of a sudden, like, everything seems so much easier, and life, like, the problems seem to solve themselves, and we kind of create a little bit more space energetically. So then all of a sudden we do have more space in our life. And so it's about how can we replace some of the busyness with more tools and techniques that are allowing us to slow down and bringing us back into that balanced space. And then also, once again, how can we simplify our lives? Because we land up doing so many things that are very complicated. And how can we create something that's more sustainable and scalable, and especially in our business? That's what I learned as well. How can we not only create a successful business, but a sustainable and scalable one as well?
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I know this will be like unique to each individual. So that's why you're not necessarily saying, oh, you have to do this or do that. But, kind of taking an inventory of our time, our activities, figuring out how we can slow down, because it affects so many parts of our lives, and many health conditions these days. It's because there's just so much stress going on, and everybody is on the go, 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 go. I wish I could go live in Bali for a year.
Come join me over there. We can do a retreat together.
Bye, husband. Bye, kids. See ya. But, I'll get there and I'll be on my phone and I'll be like, are you guys okay? Do you need this? Have you done this? Have you done that? And sometimes it's in the feminine, nurturing nature, to want to take care of everybody else. But at the same time, we shouldn't forget about ourselves. And that's one lesson we've learned over and over again. And I really love this, taking time to slow down, to breathe, and looking for ways of simplifying our lives. And it also comes back to getting that help that we need in many aspects to help us both, whether in our career, in our homes, in our businesses, like you said, because that is very much needed to be able to be at our best.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I know you talked about yoga and meditation. I want you to talk a little bit more about that and the benefits for women.
Sure. So I've been teaching yoga for about 16 years now, and it's like second nature to me. And I can feel, if I haven't done yoga for a few days, like I can feel it in my body. So first of all, my body gets all stiff and tight, and I just feel like blah. But then also emotionally, it's amazing what a difference it really makes. And so because it's something that I've just been practicing for years, and I just do, it's just part of it's like cleaning my teeth. It's like, okay, do my meditation, do a yoga practice, but I don't do a physical yoga practice every day, because that's also just going to extremes. So I listen to my body and wake up in the morning, and I've designed my life in a certain way where I can wake up and I can decide, okay, what does my body need right now, and what yoga class should I do in the day, and then I can schedule that in according to what I need, and then work around that as well. But yoga for women is so beneficial. And I know so many women who are wanting to lose weight or wanting to tone, and they're like, oh no, I'm not going to do yoga. I'll rather go to the gym, or I'll do some CrossFit, or, even Pilates. Let's do that instead. And yoga is so complementary to any cardio exercise that you're doing. So if you're running or you're cycling or you're gymming, yoga allows you to really elongate the muscles. So first of all, your muscles get all long and thin, which is always, feels really good in your body. But it tones as well. But it helps with preventative measures as well. So for injuries. So you're allowing your body to become more supple and flexible so that you don't get injured as often if you're doing other exercise. And I get so many people asking me, like, what exercise do you do? And a lot of the time it's mainly yoga. Let's say on average, like 3 to 4 times a week, I'll do my power yoga classes. And if it's that time of the month for me when I'm menstruating, then I'll either just take, a few days off, which is really important, or I'll do something a lot more gentle and do like some yin yoga or some restorative. So there's so many different styles of yoga as well, which is amazing because it can really, you can tailor make that to what you need. And then the meditation side is really just about learning to sit still. And there's so many different forms of meditation too. So it's about finding what works for you. And I've done many different styles of meditation, from TM to mantra meditation to, meditation that I learned in the ashram with mala beads in India. And there's a lot of varieties, but it's about finding what works for you. And what I always learn, and like yoga and meditation, it's about not how you perform in that moment. So it doesn't matter if there's thoughts going in your mind in meditation, or if your yoga feels stiff and tight. It really is about just getting onto your mat and doing your meditation. So non-negotiable everyday meditation happens for me in the morning, and yoga will happen, let's say 3-4 times a week. And because I can feel if I don't do that. And so the benefits are so beneficial, not just from a physical point of view, but like I said, emotional, mental, spiritual, and you just feel so much calmer. You feel so much more centered. You feel like you can actually cope with the world, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait a minute. And you actually realize that life, there's a bigger picture to life. It's not all just about the small day-to-day stuff that we can get really caught up in. And when we start to really connect, and that's what yoga means, is about yoking, it's about connecting. So for me, it's also about connecting to my intuition, to connecting to my higher power, to my wisdom. And depending on whatever, whoever's practicing whatever they believe in from a religious point of view, it's really about connecting to that God or whoever they're believing in. So for me, yoga is so much more than just the physical. It's a, spiritual, mental, emotional, beneficial, way of just being able to come back to balance and realign.
That's beautiful. We're going to get you back on the podcast one of these days and do a practical yoga session.
I would love that. We can do some meditation. We can do some yoga. Beautiful.
Yes. So some people struggle with meditation because our mind is always running, so many thoughts running through our minds. What are your tips for managing that?
So what my meditation teacher says is just do your meditation. And she teaches a meditation. It's about a mantra. So repeating your mantra. So it's about always coming back to that mantra. And if you're doing meditation where it's more about focusing on your breathing or your body parts, it's just always about bringing your mind back to that, whatever it is that you're concentrating on. And so I know a lot of people don't meditate because they're like, oh, I'm going to be terrible at it, and my mind is so busy and I don't, can't focus.
Right.
And it's the same as yoga. It's like, I can't do yoga because I can't touch my toes. And I always say to people, it's not about touching your toes. It's about, allowing your heart to open and just feeling all these other benefits. And eventually your body will become flexible and you'll be able to touch your toes. And eventually your mind will become calmer if you're meditating. And so it's always just about coming back to your breath, coming back to the mantra or the words that you're listening to. or the words that you're repeating. And so if you find yourself and your mind wandering, and then it's also about not being too hard on ourselves and not being too rigid and too judgmental and going, okay, it's okay. Because as soon as you find yourself catching yourself thinking, it's about, okay, how can I just bring myself back? It's like, oh, okay, there's clouds over there. Let's just like imagine the thoughts going by. And then it's like, how can I bring myself back to my mantra, back to the words that I'm listening to, back to my breath? And I also focus on a certain part in my body. So coming back, let's say, to my heart space and just feeling the feelings in your body. Because for me, it's about meditation and yoga. It's all about getting out of our heads and getting back into our body. Because once we really listen to our body's messages, like that's where the power is. And that's also connecting more to our intuition, which is, as I said, as women, that's our superpower, being more connected to ourselves.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I guess practice will make us centered and improve along the way, so we don't give up. Wow, this has been so beautiful. Thank you for all the amazing tips and the awesome discussion we've had today. I want you to talk about your book that I'm spying in the background, and your programs that you offer for women.
Definitely. Thanks so much for letting me share that. And so we've actually, it's our new book that we've just launched called Ignite Your Purpose. And it's a collaboration book that's just gone bestseller. So we're very excited. Bestseller in 6 different countries, the US being one of them. And thank you. Thanks so much. There's about, I think there's 16 to 18 authors in there, and we all share our own story of how we come to live our own purpose and what that means. And exactly what you were saying earlier, Dr. Beard, purpose for me is about, it changes. It's almost like your purpose changes throughout your life as the seasons, almost like the seasons of your life change. And so my story is all about letting go of being Superwoman, but there's amazing stories there from so many other authors as well. And this book is also not only just about stories, but also about how, where there's a whole lot of coaching questions in there as well, of how our readers can really start contemplating and reflecting on how they can be living their purpose too. So it's a really beautiful book, and you can find it on my website as well. It's on sale on Amazon too. And but then otherwise, like I said, I've written that ebook Superwoman Unplugged for ladies that are wanting to really discover and dive a little bit deeper on how to really let go of being Superwoman. And I've got amazing, I've got a lot of free resources on my website. So the best is to just go through to my website, which is sharniquinn.com, and you can have a look there. But what I love doing is really working with my clients and working with my ladies, because then I was like, okay, now I feel like we can really make a difference in their lives. So whether it's I've got online courses, and there's one called Burnout to Bliss, which is, 5 days, super easy, an hour video each day. They've got worksheets as well, so they can do that on their own. But then I've got my full life transformation program, which is a 3-month program, and that's called Redesign Your Life. And my ladies, then they go through their own online course as well, but then we do one-on-one coaching together. And that's so powerful. I mean, at the moment, I've also got a client in Saudi Arabia. So like women all over the world, Paris, Italy, Saudi Arabia, America, New York. Yeah, it's incredible to connect with all these amazing women and learning about the different cultures. And every single one of them we all dealing with the same stuff. Like we all working so hard, we're pushing ourselves, we're stressed out, we're burning out. And so I just find it really fascinating how, we have this mindset nowadays of really overachieving and then how to bring that back. And so I really just support them on that journey. And we look at your lifestyle habits, your health, your work, your career, your relationships, and how to manifest abundance. So that's essentially over those 3 months, the different sections we go through. And that's all mind, body, soul. So we got yoga sessions in there and meditations, and I share about how to do the techniques that I was talking about earlier. So it's a really full rounded program. So that's the Redesign Your Life program. And then I also run retreats in Bali. So whether it's group retreats with a whole group of ladies, or if women want to do their own Eat, Pray, Love journey and come just do their own private VIP journey, then I take them through that journey as well. But yeah, the retreats are amazing because I can see, like, when the ladies arrive, they're exhausted and stressed and burnt out, and running around or trying to get the kids organized before they go and making dinners for, 10
Right.
days while they're gone. And I can see the shift. Like it literally is after day 3, I can see how they all start transforming. And then by the end, they're just looking so vibrant and so alive, and they've got so much energy, and they're just radiating and glowing. And I've had so many husbands respond back to me and say, thank you so much for almost like bringing my wife back to me again. So I just love what I do. But now I've structured in a different way where I'm not doing 1,000 different things. I don't have a whole huge empire and business anymore. And I just focus on, making sure that I'm focusing on my health and healing as well as everybody else's. But that's, the best way to connect with me is also via social media on Instagram but on the website. And I'd love to just really stay connected with women. So if any of the listeners feel like what I'm saying is resonating, please contact me. And I'm also offering a free 30-minute coaching call to any of the listeners that are listening to this podcast today. So if they feel like they're just wanting some support and how to maybe, redesign their life, then I'm here for you. And would love to connect. So please connect with me.
Wow. That is awesome. Like, it's just a whole bunch of goodies. Time in Bali, everywhere, redesigning our lives, going from burnout to bliss. Those are just precious, amazing things that women need every day. So thank you so much for sharing all that. And we'll be sure to include it in our show notes, your website and your social media links where we can connect with you. But it's been amazing connecting with you today, and we'll be sure to stay in touch.
Thanks so much for having me on the show. I've really loved it. And look forward to hearing more of your podcasts.
Awesome. Thank you. Be sure to subscribe so you'll be the first to be notified of every new episode. Leave a review and share this podcast with that elegant lady in your life. This is a space where we can come together to empower and inspire each other and live feeling elevated and enlightened. See you in the next episode.